Insights, a podcast by Pharma.Aero.
Good day everyone and welcome to our Pharma.Aero collaborative podcast. I am Frank van Gelder. We are at the Pharma Logistics Masterclass in Singapore. Just wrapping up the third edition and already getting prepared for the 2024 in Dallas-Fort Worth. It is the perfect time to pivot vision and mission, and with us are today here in the podcast Roel Gevaers, Professor Doctor, Faculty of Business and Economics, University of Antwerp and Chairman of the Pharma Logistics Masterclass. Trevor Caswell, Manager Demand and Product Development Cargo, Edmonton International Airport and Chairman of Pharma.Aero. And Milton de la Paz, Vice President, Airline Relations and Cargo Business Development, Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Milton, we are now 3 years in the running with what started as a first attempt to bring the business world and academic world together. And this around pharma logistics. Looking critically back to these 3 first years, what can you identify as the most important strengths and the permanent challenges going with them?
Well, I see there's a lot of strengths with the Pharma.Aero Masterclass. That's why I'm really committed to it. One of the strengths is the continuity of the professor, of the leadership. I think it's important to have that continuity with the leadership because you drive consistency from year to year. You can expand and build. And that is where really the growth and learning comes in. It's also where you get the attraction of new people into the masterclass, right? I think every year is going to continue to grow. Unfortunately, for the sake of efficiencies, we have to cap it, but it's a good sign that you get a good class year after year. Some of the other strengths that I see also is just the diversity of topics that are covered from year to year. Again, there's some consistency and continuity, but at the same time, every year is bringing in new themes and new topics. And it's this thematic kind of approach that you have every year that I think is very, very interesting and really attracts people. So those are the strengths I see. There's a lot more, and we could be here all day talking about it, but those are really strengths that I see in this organization.
Looking at you, Trevor, Chairman of Pharma.Aero, we started very small a couple of years ago. How do you look at it as from an organization standpoint of view?
I agree with Milton in the strengths of the masterclass and what he's mentioned already. Maybe on top of that, I see it as a unique environment where people can bring their strengths and share and collaborate. But most of all, I see it as a neutral space where you can bring the insights of the academic world and bring it with the strengths and the experience of the industry together through workshops, interactive sessions, where people will share passionately about their experience and learn about new things in the supply chain. And so when you bring this sort of environment together, you end up with a unique product that I think has grown over the years and has turned into its own event where people look forward to every year. So I think with all of the strengths that the masterclass has shared, we're building on the next level every year that we anticipate the masterclass to continue in a different part of the world. And that's also another strength of the masterclass is how it's set up to move around the world and experience the different supply chains and the different relationships through the University of Antwerp, being a host partner, identifying different regions in the world and bringing those different experiences through a multimodal approach, as well as focusing on the growth in areas in parts of the world. So where we started in Europe, moved to the Middle East and Abu Dhabi for the second year, moving to Singapore in the third year, and looking forward to moving in North America in year 4.
That brings me to the university and to Roel, hearing the business and how they perceive the masterclass. Roel, we can or we can't imagine what is the impact in the academic world and how important is this masterclass on a top priority, I would say, for a faculty like the business economics faculty in Antwerp.
Well, I can tell you proudly that this masterclass is considered within the faculty really as a kind of best practice where business meets academics, because as we all know, sometimes academics have a bit the stamp of being far away from reality or living in their ivory tower. And I think we prove with this masterclass that we can come closer to each other, learn from each other. We can give here the chance in this masterclass that researchers, which are doing research about pharmaceutical logistics, and some researchers even are working on PhD, which were born within the masterclass, for example, with your member Coljet, for example. The fact that we can bring that all together is something rather unique, and within the faculty and within the university, I can guarantee you that this masterclass really is considered as really a best practice in the whole university and even in Flanders, I think, as the way we should go to the future.
A perfect marriage, I would say. I hear the business side at the table happy, and I hear the university at the table happy. Okay, we need to continue, we need to make it stronger, but what is the modus operandi to be better the year after than the year before, as it is a continuous process? So I go back to you, Roel.
Well, I think every year it's very interesting that we tried, at the end of each masterclass, we tried to sit together with the team of Pharma.Aero, and we already align on, let's say, the next year topics which come out of the masterclass of the current year. Yesterday there was the comment like, we need to do something about insurance and insurance policy so that we capture and then we analyze, will we take this for the next year? Because indeed, there might be a risk to the future. The idea about the masterclass is keep attracting people. If you do every year the same thing, we would lose interest. And that's why I think it's always important to listen to the people, listen to everybody at the masterclass, and to make every year kind of new thing and to improve everything we do.
I want to riff off what Trevor and Roel both said about, one of the strengths being it's moving around. So I was in Abu Dhabi, and as you can imagine, there was a pretty strong Middle Eastern presence. Now we come to Asia, a very strong Asian presence. And so it's good to expose everybody to these different, regions of the world because, the regulatory environment and other environments in the business vary between regions. Now we go to North America where you're going to see another different environment and probably have more emphasis from the Americas. So it's a way to expose everybody to all these different regions of the world and give them a more global perspective, right? So I'm very excited about bringing it to North America, but particularly to Dallas-Fort Worth area. I think where the real learning takes place is when you have that beautiful dialogue between, the practitioners and the professors, right? And that's where the real learning takes place. This is where the theoretical world meets the practical real world, right? And a lot of us who've been practitioners for a long time, we forgot the theory, so it's good to refresh on how things are supposed to happen. And the ones that are always focused on the theory need to get some insight into what really happens, where the rubber meets the road.
Yeah, I think a perfect recipe is to have a strong airport member, a good university, and a very high interaction. So our airport members, Trevor, Chairman, Pharma.Aero and Edmonton Airport, how you see a role of a community when landing the masterclass there?
The role of a community is very critical, very important to where the aspects of the masterclass lie. If we look at communities, I have to take a step back as we look forward and reflect on the communities that we've hosted the masterclass. First one being in Antwerp. During COVID, of course, that the role in which the community was a little restrained because of the COVID restrictions in place. But the role of the community, if we focus around Abu Dhabi and here in Singapore, are very similar. We have to look back at the benefits, the role of the community, the strength of the community that brought everyone in, and the content and the high value for the masterclass together. So I think if we compare where we were in Antwerp, Abu Dhabi, as well here in Singapore, having a strong community with strong community partners is critical and key for the success of the masterclass. And when we look forward to Dallas, we anticipate a very strong community, and Milton and the team around Dallas-Fort Worth have a very strong ecosystem that will help drive the community and drive a strong nature for our future masterclass. So when we look at community, we need to break it down and understand the community landscape, where people play a role in the community, where business play a role in the community, and how all that comes together. Just similar to an airport, where people come together to share ideas and thoughts, and businesses are the same. They come together to share their strengths, their weaknesses, their gaps, their challenges. And when we step back and look at the community, an engaged community, a strong community, provide that foundation for the masterclass.
One thing that I've noticed, I attend a lot of cargo conferences, I'm fortunate, and that's where I do a lot of learning. But one thing I noticed is that among all the stakeholders across the supply chain, think about all those different various stakeholders, right? There's always a lot of competition amongst them, right? Which is fine, right? That's the way the world is. But the role that the airport can play is unique, is that we're neutral. At least in North America airports, we're very, very neutral. We don't run the business. We don't operate warehouses. we are pretty much infrastructure provider. So we can invite all these disparate entities to the table and say, and come and meet and come and learn. Whereas a forwarder is not going to invite another forwarder, a trucking company is not going to invite another trucking company. They want to keep this like secret to themselves, if you will. But that's the big role I see us as an airport playing. We're the glue that can bring it all and make it stick together, right? We're the ones that can say, hey, let's collaborate. And so that's a big role I think we can play.
I would like to stay with you for my last question to the group, and then I go to Roel. I think a strong involvement of the biopharma world is also super important for us. How do you see that in Dallas-Fort Worth happening?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because, you know, one of the things that Dallas-Fort Worth is not known for is the bio-life science sector, right? And although relative to the big ones that everybody knows, like, you know, San Francisco Bay Area or Boston area, ours is not as big, but it's the fastest growing. And you're going to see a lot of investment in the bio-life science sector in North Texas, in the DFW Metroplex. And that is really, really going to be exciting. I think it's going to catch the attention of a lot of people because the investment made in this sector are fantastic. Moreover, everybody in that North Texas bio-life sciences sector is really leaning into this. They know that the Pharma.Aero Logistics Masterclass is coming. They already know it, and they're very excited. So we have a really vibrant life science sector. They're all leaning in to participate. They all want to be a part of this. They know that it's going to give them the opportunity to put us on a global map. And again, it's growing, but it's really, really flying under the radar now. So we want to kind of expose it to the world. So I think it's a great opportunity for both Pharma.Aero and all its members, as well as for the North Texas region and DFW Airport.
Roel, next to that, life science companies, business, but last but not least, a very important factor are universities. I think we're a bit spoiled if we look at the Dallas region. There are many universities there, but what is your expectation starting in a few weeks to work with the university institutions?
Well, we went together. Milton invited us to do a visit to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and it was really a pleasure to be there. We were invited at several universities, the two universities specifically, and we believe, we are even convinced that it will be really a top collaboration, both business meets academics, but also academics from Europe with academics from the US, from Dallas. It was really a pleasure to speak with them, and we are looking forward to make the program with Pharma.Aero and with the academics from Dallas area.
A last expectation from our chairman. How do we look as Pharma.Aero towards going to Dallas-Fort Worth?
Yeah, I believe there's a lot of anticipation, excitement. If we take the momentum that's been building, if we look at this week, it continues to build. Classes remain filled throughout the day. Every day there's more and more people that have come and gone because of travel schedules, but the content has been consistently, the bar continues to raise. So if we look forward to Dallas, I believe the momentum that we're building on here, and one aspect what we want to do is plan for the next location in the current year that we're participating in a certain region, so we can tie one to the other. And I think Dallas is the perfect location to bring the next masterclass to. The next steps towards building a stronger masterclass, of course we want to build year over year on the level and the content and the creative nature that the masterclass has grown. It's almost like its own entity. It continues to build. We're very excited to bring this to North America, and Dallas is going to be a great host, and the amount of pharma and medtech going on there is very impressive, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Roel, Trevor, and Milton, for your nice insights. And I would also thank our listeners to listen to our podcast series. My name is Frank van Gelder. I wish you all the best, and until next time.
Insights, a podcast by Pharma.Aero.